On Monday, the Venezuelan state-owned oil company PDVSA and the Spanish oil Repsol company signed a framework deal for administering a joint venture. In Gaza, at least 30 Palestinians have been killed as Israel's genocidal operation against Gaza enters its 74th day. And in China, a 6.2 magnitude earthquake hit the Gansu-Qinghai border region, leaving at least 127 people killed and more than 700 injured. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. On Monday, the Venezuelan state-owned oil company PDVSA and the Spanish oil company Repsol signed a framework deal for administering a joint venture. The deal establishes the basis that will allow improving activities of the Petroqueque joint venture. This paramount breakthrough has an impact on the Western Division, which is located south of the Maracaibo Lake, in the northwestern Venezuelan territory, and Furio Division in the eastern region. Repsol has been operating for 30 years in Venezuela, and this deal ratifies the binational cooperation and the consolidation of the plan to strengthen the national oil industry. On Monday, the first vaccine factory in the South American nation was born in Colombia, Bogotá Bio. The mayor's office of Bogotá, the capital of the country, and the Chinese company Sinovac formalized the productive association that will allow them to produce the same quality of drugs but at a lower cost from 2027. The Foreign Minister Álvaro Leiva, the Minister of Health Alfonso Jaramillo, and the Chinese Ambassador Su Yinyan accompanied Mayor Claudia López, the president of Sinovac, during the announcements. The project has a duration of 10 years for the first phase and will have millionaire investments that guarantee besides production, knowledge, and technology transfer. The visit of President Gustavo Petro to China in October opened the door to numerous binational projects. In Peru, the public prosecutor's office requested a 25-year prison sentence against former dictator Alberto Fujimori for the murder of farmers in 1992. The Peruvian justice also requested the incarceration of Fujimori's former advisor Vladimiro Montesinos and his disqualification for 5 years for their responsibility in the crimes of aggravated homicide and murder with malice aforethought, considered a crime against humanity. The so-called Pativilca case investigates the massacre of 6 farmers at the hands of the so-called Colina Group, a parliamentary commander under Fujimori's orders. In this sense, after the beginning of the oral hearing, the National Superior Court will continue with the process next January 4, 2024. 55 businessmen were arrested on Friday in Chile on charges of masterminding a $270 million tax evasion ring. In what has been considered the largest tax fraud ever uncovered in the country, Chilean police raided on Thursday around 90 houses and seized weapons, money, and luxury cars. The ring reportedly cheated the state during the last years by means of fake invoices. No details have been provided on the identities of the arrested nor the companies involved, except that they are medium-sized entities. Chile was shaken in 2015 by the so-called Penta case, which involved one of the most important economic groups in the country and uncovered a deep-rooted illegal practice of political financing through the use of some 1,000 invoices for services not rendered. In her debut as Argentina's Minister of Human Capital, Sandra Petovello announces that those who demonstrate will be left without social plans. The message, which was recorded and broadcast on social media, is a continuation of the warnings made by different members of the Libertarian executive in view of the demonstration they are preparing for December 20th. Hours before, the Minister of Security, Patricia Bullrich, who leads the campaign, announced without giving details that this Wednesday the anti-protest protocol would be tested. The head of the Ministry of Human Capital also warned that organizations that deliver social plans will be audited. In the face of constant national and international pressure, the government of Guatemala has released details of the agenda for the transfer of office ceremony. Espinosa Farfan, who served as the country's ambassador to Cuba, has been appointed general coordinator of the 2024 presidential transfer of office. In a press conference held on Monday at the National Palace of Culture, he gave details of the protocol events, according to the law of diplomatic ceremonial. The actions of the public ministry, the parliament and the presidency against the electoral process and the elected government have been giving way to strong national and international protests that they are trying to calm down with the presentation of the agenda for the transfer of power. In Mexico, Integral Human Rights in Action and other civil organizations demanded justice and full reparation for the damage caused by the fire at the migratory station in northern Mexico in March, 266 days after the fire at the immigration station in Juarez City, where 40 foreigners died. A meeting was organized through video conferences in the framework of the International Migrants Day, where the victims and their families demanded the government honor its commitments by exposing the serious consequences left by the events, where they consider that they were treated like animals, demand to know the truth of what happened, who are the responsible, and be brought to justice. In Haiti, gangs attacked a town northwest of the capital with no reported fatalities or injuries so far. The 400 Maoisto gang set fire to numerous houses and clashed with national police officers. Last October, the armed group took control of the commune of Thomasu, expelling security forces from the police station and installing itself in public institutions. The criminal organization was also responsible for the kidnapping of missionaries from the United States and Canada in 2021. For which Washington offered a $1 million reward to anyone who could provide information leading to the capture of the gang's leader. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. Other stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back from the south. At least 30 Palestinians have been killed as Israel's genocidal operation against Gaza enters its 74th day. The occupier carried out new massive airstrikes against the cities of Rafah and Khan Yunis, where 25 fatalities were reported, most of them women and children. On the other hand, in the area of Al-Hassainet, in the refugee camp of Nusayrat, 5 children were killed. The number will increase in the coming hours when the report from Al-Buhaysh camp, south of Gaza, where the Zionist troop attacked some residences. A senior Hamas official said Monday that Israel is working with the help of the United States to displace all Palestinians from Gaza, vowing that they will not succeed. He also accused the U.S. of supporting in the killing of women and children, destroying homes, hospitals, and schools.
Gaza an unlivable place, so that it becomes easier to forcibly displace its people from their land. But we tell him and his supporters, and the latest of them is United States War Secretary, that you will not be able to achieve your goal. If the enemy's defense minister asked for advice during his news conference from the defense secretary of the United States administration, we ask what kind of experience this American has. Is it an experience of victory, as in Vietnam, for example, or an experience of victory, as in Afghanistan, after 20 years of fighting, fleeing, and running away with disappointment? The only experience provided by the United States to this Nazi army is the killing of women and children, destroying homes, hospitals, and schools.
The Yemeni armed forces reported targeting of 2 more ships linked to the Israeli regime in response to the Zionist crimes against Gaza. According to the Yemeni army, 2 drones hit a Swam Atlantic ship loaded with oil and an MSC Clara carrying containers after their crews refused to respond to calls from the Yemeni naval forces. The Yemeni army has reiterated its guarantee to ships heading to all ports around the world except Israeli ports. The warning indicates that it will continue to prevent all ships heading to Israeli ports of any nationality from sailing in the Arabian and Red Seas until the food and medicine needed by Gazans are provided. President of Syria Bashar al-Assad described the Israeli operation in Gaza as a fascist massacre and ratifies Israel is committed with the U.S. complicity. On his speech at the session of the Central Committee of the Arab Socialist Ba'ath Party, which is preparing a proposal to hold elections, al-Assad made a detailed analysis of the situation in Palestine. The president referred that, as has happened with Syria, Venezuela, or the South China Sea, the United States is willing to impose its truth, which is always false. And he noted that Gaza has shown that technology is more pivotal than weapons, and ideology is stronger than the cruelty of terrorism, pointing out as a crucial triumph the defeat that Palestine has given to the Zionist narrative in the world. In Damascus, Syrians and Cubans commemorate this Monday, December 18th, the 65th anniversary of the triumph of the Cuban Revolution, an act that materializes a deep friendship between both peoples and a permanent mutual solidarity that transcends geographical distances. Let's see.
The event took place at the School of the Sons and Daughters of the Martyrs of the Syrian Arab Army in Damascus, a site of great patriotic value for the Syrians that was chosen to commemorate the date in a gesture of appreciation to those who fell on the long road of struggle for the sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of both Syria and Cuba.
I am very proud, very happy, and very excited. Someone may wonder, why here at the School of the Sons of the Martyrs? And it is because the youth has always been at the core of the revolutionary transformations in Cuba, and to have the opportunity to share with an institution that has the same values, that educates the people of the homeland, that educates people who love life and want the best for their children, I believe that for us to share this experience is something extremely important and comforting, because we share the same values and the same ideas of educating generations that are committed to their homeland and to the future of the nation.
The Cuban people offered many sacrifices to achieve the triumph of the revolution and gain independence under the leadership of Commander Fidel Castro, and in appreciation of these sacrifices that are equal to those offered by our people for their independence, the daughters and sons of our martyrs shared with our Cuban brothers the joy of this occasion.
The celebration of this date in this place is a gesture of appreciation to the sacrifices offered by the Cuban people until the triumph of the revolution, which are the same sacrifices offered by the Syrian people for the liberation of the occupation, and it is a sign of mutual interest in consolidating the ties that unite both nations in a single bloc against the world imperialism.
The children of the Syrian martyrs celebrated the occasion with national songs that reflect the same patriotic values defended by the Cuban Revolution, a ceremony that highlighted the fact that the Syrians and their brothers in Cuba, facing a common enemy, are fighting the same battle in defense of their shared principles that advocate a fairer, more united, and more humane world.
Today we commemorate a new anniversary of the triumph of the Cuban Revolution, a friendly and brotherly country, that we are proud of its friendship, and we want to consolidate even more this friendship and unity because the strength lies in the union of peoples, and this is what we want to consolidate through this act.
We celebrate this Cuban National Day because the Syrian and Cuban people are two friendly peoples who share the joys and hardships, and therefore we ratify today that we must consolidate our union to triumph against our enemies led by United States imperialism.
As well as this date, Syria recently commemorated the 7th anniversary of the physical disappearance of the historic leader of the Cuban Revolution, Fidel Castro. Two events through which the Syrian people and leadership show great interest in consolidating the ties of friendship and cooperation that unite them with their brothers in the largest island of the Caribbean.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience, you can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with TeleSUR. for a short break. Don't go away. Welcome back from the south. A powerful earthquake struck a mountainous region in northwest China on Tuesday, killing 127 people in the country's deadliest quake in 9 years, officials said. The 6.2 magnitude quake, which had its epicenter about 1,300 kilometers southwest of Beijing, also injured more than 700 people, damaged roads, and disrupted power and communications in the provinces of Gansu and Qinghai, officials added. In turn, the Chinese government sent 4,000 firefighters, soldiers, and police went along with emergency teams to search for missing people in collapsed buildings and at least one landslide in the affected area. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi won re-election to a third six-year term. The National Election Authority said Monday that al-Sisi recorded a landslide victory of 89.6% of the vote, calling it the highest voting percentage in Egypt's history. El-Sisi guaranteed another term in the absence of a serious challenger. His strongest competitor picked up about 4.5% of the vote, officials added. The vote was eclipsed by the Israeli genocide of Gaza on Egypt's eastern border, which has threatened to expand into wider regional turmoil. Some 67 million Egyptians were eligible to vote out of a total population of nearly 106 million. Vote counting for the election of provincial councils started in Iraq following the closing of polling stations on Monday. Iraqis voted Monday in the first provincial council elections held in a decade, which were expected to strengthen the rule of pro-Iranian Shiite Muslim groups. The vote comes at a time of widespread political apathy and disillusionment in the oil-rich country of 43 million that is still recovering from years of war and corruption. Polls closed as planned at 6 p.m. local time, and preliminary elections results are expected in the next few hours. According to the Election Commission official Omar Ahmed, turnout at noon had just reached 17%. The vote is seen as a key test for Prime Minister Mohamed Shia al-Sudani, who rose to power just over a year ago, backed by pro-Tehran parties ahead of a general election due in 2025. The Democratic Republic of the Congo's incumbent President Felix Tshisekedi concluded his campaign in Kinshasa this Monday ahead of the December 20th elections, for which 44 million Congolese are registered to vote. This Wednesday, the presidential, parliamentary, provincial, and municipal elections will take place in a country ravaged by conflict in its east. The presidential race is a first-past-the-post vote, giving Tshisekedi, 60 years old, who is seeking a second five-year term, a healthy chance of winning against a divided opposition. Presidential candidates in the DRC made their final pitches to voters on Monday as campaigning officially ended in the vast and impoverished Central African nation of 100 million people. In Guinea, an explosion and inferno at the country's main fuel depot in the capital of Conakry left at least 11 people dead and more than 80 seriously injured, authorities said on Monday. According to Guinea's presidency, the massive explosion sparked the fire at the Guinean Petroleum Company depot after midnight on Sunday. The West African country is awaiting help from other nations as the death toll is expected to rise. It was not immediately clear what caused the explosion at the depot, which had been in the process of being relocated to a remote site in a bid to avoid social disaster. Authorities shut down schools and public places in the capital and the access to the district except for essential services. The presidency is asking people to stay at home. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan held a press conference in Budapest during which Orban praised the tight friendship of the two nations. This is Erdogan's second visit to the country within 4 months, and it coincides with the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said Monday that he would seek deeper ties with Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban during his second visit to the country within 4 months. Hungary and Turkey are the only holdouts in NATO to not have ratified Sweden's bid to join the defense alliance in the wake of Russia's special military operation in Ukraine.
Today we have made an outstanding strategic cooperation between our nations. I am not sure if there is a higher level. I think this is the tightest friendship and brotherhood for cooperation in politics which can be expressed in the language of diplomacy.
Russia hosted the finals of the International Battle of the Robots Championship, and Chinese team ROC emerged as the winner of the event. The championship, coordinated by the Russian Ministry of Digital Development, was held on Monday in Moscow. Indian team DS Robotic took second place, and Moscow team Turbo Mechatronics third. Footage shows the robots competing in the ring, damaging each other with blades, giant tires, and other weapons created by engineers. More than 5,000 people attended the event, while the online broadcast was watched by more than 4.3 million. Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief, but before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience of Trinidad and Tobago. We are pleased to share our newscast and contribute to provide an alternative news source of the latest world events. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our social medias on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.